What is up, everybody? This is Carl Schuckert. We're here doing a kind of a two-part training series today. We're actually going to be recording part of our podcast. So this is going to be part of one of our podcasts. If you're listening live to the podcast, I want to let you know that this series of our podcast is going to be our specialized series where we're going to be talking to industry leaders inside of the industry of either chatbots, digital marketing, or entrepreneurship. So I want to go ahead and invite one of my good friends here to the call. Not only that, just to give you a little bit of background about him, his name is Andrew Graham. And Andrew Graham is the CEO of the Think and Grow Rich film, the Napoleon Hill teachings of 13 masterful teachings that you should be learning as an entrepreneur. He's actually taken those teachings and hired influencers and also became part of a large film team to create this very cinematic, emotional, touching, and educational film based off of those teachings. So Andrew, I've got you here live. I want to see if you can hear me loud and clear.
Can you guys see me at all? Can anybody see me or hear me?
We can see you and we can hear you. So Andrew, first off, man, super excited to have you on chatbots and digital marketing. Like I was explaining before, this is a two-part interview series. So one part's going to be live for the viewers and for the listeners on the actual podcast. The second part is going to be the actual training that you're going to help us out with on our digital side, because I know you have a diverse background in building digital agencies into the 7 figures. So, but before we get into that stuff, let's just get started with this interview. First off, super excited about the Think and Grow Rich film. Think and Grow Rich, by the way, and I know I've told you this before, but I want to say this live on the recording, it was the first book that was ever given to me in the entrepreneurial space. In fact, that book was handed down to me by my father, who actually never even read it, but he knew that I had this like entrepreneurial bug at such a young age. But he handed me the book and he says, I think this book is like the book you should read. I've heard it's good. So that book immediately, just the impression that book left onto me is already it's already showing up in my legacy. So the book of that legacy is phenomenal. So first off, congratulations on being able to pivot yourself in a position to make a friggin' movie, had a massive Hollywood premiere, and also for being like one of my best friends in the industry. It's pretty amazing to resonate with people like you. And so welcome to our call. If there's anything else you want me to add to that background, you think I should?
No, I mean, there's so much to talk about. And when you and I get together, we're the types that can sit there and talk for hours and hours and hours. And I really graciously appreciate the kind words. I mean, you practice and preach Think and Grow Rich almost every single day and use it in your business. And I mean, if you look at the stuff that you and I always talk about and like where you went in business, how you like went from certain things and you just kind of went like this, you know, it really was the fact that you were studying that so often. And I mean, even when you speak on it, you could tell that you haven't read it just once. You know what I mean? A lot of people read it and they don't absorb it as much. Like you look at somebody like Bob Proctor, he's, been reading it and studying it for 57 years. And he still says every single day, like even when I talk to him on a weekly basis, he says, I still feel like I'm just scratching at the surface. So it's really a privilege and honor to be working with these guys. I never thought that I would be a part of the film industry. I never thought that I'd be making movies. Now we have 5 scripts and we have 2 other movies that we're working on this year. We're getting Tony Robbins into the film potentially. That's something that we're working on. And it's really interesting because I don't think that it's a matter of experience. Like even when we talk about agencies and running businesses, I don't think it's so much experience or having like a big team. I think it's more like putting yourself out there and networking and following the right paths that come your way. It's the vibration and the energy that's around you. And if you really tap into that energy, you can use it to your advantage to learn and receive a lot of great things in life. But if you're tapping into the wrong energy and you're basically focusing on the things that you're not doing, it's not going to take you anywhere very quickly. But once you do establish one thing that works, all of a sudden, all these great things start pouring in and stuff starts really working for you. So it's really interesting because I had read Think and Grow Rich, but when I got involved in the project, it originally was just me trying to actually authentically help them. And I was going to their premiere and they needed a little bit of help launching the movie. And after I got involved and got my team involved and started really, really helping them, they made me a partner. and I'm the majority owner and CEO of the company, which is an absolute honor and blessing. So, I appreciate the journey that put me through, but really I just kind of stepped in with trying to help and be a service of people. And a lot of the times people don't approach with that. A lot of people focus on, well, how can I make money, or how can I get the money, or I want to be on stage, or I want to be this, or I want to be that. And sometimes it's as little as just helping somebody in a significant way, and it goes everywhere,
Yeah. I mean, first off, like, go think, I mean, we were talking about already just mind stuff, like, vibrational pulls that help you make decisions based off of what Timothy wrote here, desire, knowing and understanding that desire, that first part. But the thing is, Andrew, 2 years ago, or let's just say 3 years ago, could you ever even imagine where you are today?
Never. This was not a projection that I even put on a vision board. I mean, this was not something that I even believed could ever happen, because I'm somewhat of an introvert. Carl, that, I have a development team and I do engineering, and I'm very kind of in the dark, and I'm not so much the type that likes to put myself out there. Like the first time I got on stage, I had a blood pressure attack, you guys. I ended up in what's the name of that hospital, Carl? Sunset or
Sunset? Yes, I think it was
Sunset Hospital in Las Vegas, because one of my friends invited me to come on stage and speak. Right? He had not told me at all. I didn't plan anything. I didn't do anything. So I'm like, oh yeah, I could do this. I get all confident. He puts on my music, whatever, puts on Iron Man, So I walk up to the stage and I get on stage, and all of a sudden my head starts pulsating and I've got this blood pressure feeling. So I'm like just trying to deal with it and talk and still be motivational to people, but not cause a scene at his event. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I've had 5 open heart surgeries. So I literally was having a blood pressure attack where my blood pressure was like 220 over 140 or whatever it was. I was damn near ready to have a stroke or a heart attack. So I do like a quick little 5-10 minute piece, and I walk off stage and I walk directly to the back room, and I immediately get the support guy that I was working with, and I say, call 911. So an ambulance shows up. I go to Sunset, which is, guys, don't go there unless you really need to. Don't go there. Okay. So what's really interesting, getting back to what I was saying, is that I've always been somewhat of an introvert, but when it comes to talking to people and networking, I'm extremely efficient and good at that, in my opinion, because I've been told I'm really good at that. But when it comes to wanting to do it or being comfortable doing it, I'm not. And what's really weird is I've identified that, and I know myself, like, okay, if you're not good at networking, or if you're not good at communicating and you have trouble doing that, and a lot of people do, even with agencies, because, it's sales. So you got to really get in there and do it. But what I started learning is to coach myself through it mentally. And then I get into a comfort zone. So once I'm one-on-one or one-on-3 with 3 people, I get a lot more comfortable, because I could actually start thinking, okay, you're comfortable, and use positive affirmation. And once I start feeling good and I sound good and I hear myself, then it's just a downhill snowball effect. It's not anything more than that. It's not the fact that I've practiced it so many times and done it so many times that I'm an expert. It's just the fact that I keep practicing it and listening to myself. And I'm like, oh, that sounded good. I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep going. It was the same thing in business. Like, getting back to what you asked me, Carl, I never had this as a projection whatsoever. I'm not the type of person that would see myself in the film industry. I'm not the type of person that thought that I'd be looking at movie scripts and reading movie scripts and creating sound scores and helping the director in the production and raising money. I mean, that movie alone, we raised a lot of money to make that movie. So I never really saw that whatsoever in my career. But here's the thing. When it came my way and I helped them, and they started wanting more and more help and more advice with marketing and all these other things, I'm like, you know what? I could do this. I don't know why I would even try and pause or not go down that track, because it's such a wonderful track to be on. And it's kind of the same thing with your agency. Like, you'll get your foot in the door with one little thing or one little tripwire. And if they take you to a direction that's prosperous and you're going to do good, put all your energy towards it. And if you can't figure it out, ask Google. Or if Google can't figure it out for you, with you two working together, go and find somebody that has done it and seek mentorship or guidance from them. Because we're not put on this earth to constantly not be able to do things. Look at Henry Ford. Everybody says, oh, well, why do you feel that you have the best motor company and this and that? And they were saying, are you a competent man? And he said, I want to see you go to your garage and build a car motor from scratch, from the ground up with metal, blocks of metal. You know, I want to see you go and do that. So it's really, really interesting because what I believe in my mind is anybody can achieve anything. And the only reason why they cannot is because their paradigm. And it's like Bob Proctor says, they're letting their paradigm get in the way of their progression of success. And that's something that you really, really, really need to just push out. Don't even focus on it. Don't even question yourself. Get out of your comfort zone. I never wanted to. And if you look at the things I'm doing now, it's because I got out of my comfort zone. It's because I ignored the paradigm. People would tell me like, oh, that's crazy. You shouldn't do that. My dad's an old timer. You know, he's a old, you know, Harley riding guy with long hair who literally says, I don't know why you'd be doing that. Like, why do you do that? Why don't you just hang out at your house and this and that? And I'm like, because I'm not going to ever become successful or have what I truly want for my kids or my family unless I get out of my comfort zone and start doing it. And he's like, oh yeah, well, okay. And you know what it is? It's just the fact that he doesn't understand. He hasn't been around this generation and what's available to us. The world is ours for the taking, and we can get as much as we want as long as we're willing to step up and get out of our comfort zone. So sorry for the long response, Carl, but
No,
I think it's
no.
so important.
It's okay. You know, I'm big at mindset. I feel like it's one of those things that we all need to focus on all the time. Even the book Think and Grow Rich, to me, it's almost like a religion. The book is like the Bible with codes in it. And, you know, if you study those codes every single day, you kind of build faith behind it. You don't know why these things happen, but they happen because you manifest them into your life, and then they become your destiny. Then they become your legacy. And that's why I asked you that question, because I know at a certain point in your life that changed. So like 3 years ago, you had no idea that I had no idea I was going to be running a film company. But then once you had the opportunity to get in and work with these people, at a certain point, there was something that was like, there's had to have been something inside of you that pulled you away from everything else that said, I'm going to be a part of this. Guys, by the way, I didn't even say this. Andrew is a SaaS developer. He owns some major SaaS companies and software companies that help, they help, you know, local marketers, they help influencers and stuff like that. He kind of got pulled away into something else that he realized he had a burning desire in, and started just applying those principles in his life. And that's why I think it's so important to have this part on in our call, is to talk about mindset, because if you don't have your mind right, it doesn't matter what strategies I show you guys. It doesn't matter what even marketing principles I show you guys. If you don't have your mind right, it doesn't really matter. Like, you need to work on the inner self before you work on the outer self. And so that's why, that was a big part of why I wanted Andrew to come on here and be a part of our podcast. Also, Andrew's going to come in and do some training with you guys too. But that's not going to be on our podcast. That's just the first part of this training, guys. Okay. So that's a special gift that we all get to have just by having him here. So I appreciate you guys. I know Dell asked the question like, hey, are we going to go through training? Absolutely. But Dell, we have to work on our mindset first, right? We have to work on ourselves first before we can go out there and just have trajectory, have transcend, me and Andrew are talking about, like, Andrew's going to write a book. I'm not going to talk about it. But I will tell you, this is something him and I have talked about before, and that is going from where your growth is here, and all of a sudden it's up here. There's not like all these little things that you grow to. It's here, and then all of a sudden it's here. And even like at this event we're at, Bob Proctor's talking about filling the void. He's like saying, hey, you don't have to question all these things. Just this is what I'm doing. This is what I am. This is what I have. And talking in the pretense as if you already have it. Because once you have it, it's not going to be as big of a deal, because you always knew that you were going to have it. The void and the laws of the universe and the vibrational pull is going to pull you inside of there. And some people might think, oh, that's weird, I don't know, like juju type talk, but it's not, guys. It's just the way it works. It's just like the laws of this universal laws of success. And he talked about, I'll talk about this for a second, is he talked about how you are such a product of your surroundings. You're a product of what's around you. And he talked about, like, in prison, people that go to prison, they have 80 to 90% chance of going back. And people go to prison, they come out for 6 to 7 months. They end up going back in for a couple of years. They come out for 4 to 3 months. They end up going back in for longer or shorter periods. And they just keep doing that. Well, the same thing with successful people. They just go where the money is. Like, if your goal is something really big and it's something that scares you, that's good. That's really good. That's a good first step. So that's kind of why we wanted to have Andrew in here, and he also used, like I said, he used to run a very successful agency selling websites and digital services that did in the seven figures in the Silicon Valley in San Francisco area. So he knows a lot about that. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go ahead and end the not the call, so you guys stay on here, but I'm going to go ahead and end the actual podcast part, because we try to keep the podcast anywhere between 5 to 15 minutes. You guys got a little bit of taste of Andrew Graham. I also have a call to action for you guys, which is who here would like to get access to the new movie, the Think and Grow Rich movie that Andrew was a part of. He's actually given me a coupon that I could give you guys. I'm not trying to sell you guys it or anything like that, but I'm just saying I highly recommend that. It's a movie that you should watch, because they're going to talk about those 13 major principles that are going to effectively help you change your life. These are principles that I study all the time, every single year. I just make it a part of like listening to the Think and Grow Rich film. So I'm going to put a little link in here. And for the people who are listening, you can go to clik.site/TAGR. Okay, I'm going to repeat it. It's CLIK, kind of like click, but it's missing the C, .site, SITE/TAGR. And you're going to use the coupon code SHARKPALS, SHARKPALS. That's going to give you $5.
And you could chuck the coupon code in for him too.
Oh, okay.
The Shark Pals. And guys,
Sure.
that's really with what Carl was talking about. A lot of people said you have to read the book first to understand the movie. I actually feel the opposite. I feel you should watch the movie first and get an understanding of what this philosophy is and what the principles are written by Napoleon Hill, because it's an extremely powerful thing. And what it'll do is it'll help you evaluate each segment of your life, whether it's organized planning, whether it's persistence. Every single person on this planet is having problems in a certain area based on these principles. You know, mine personally, organized planning. I take on too much stuff. I feel like I have good planning, but I'm always writing on napkins. I'm always putting stuff everywhere. So what's really cool is if you watch the movie, it'll expose you to the actual book. And then once you watch the movie, get the book and read it as much as you can and really identify in yourself where you're lacking. Because even though we deny it and we think we're high and mighty and we have all the things we want, there's never a limit. We're always trying to scale ourselves. We're always trying to do more. And the reality is that there's always a little bit of foggy area where we can improve. And the book is almost like a tool. To me, I still read it every single day before I go to bed. It helps me sleep. And the film itself will just really illustrate how powerful the book is. A lot of people have said they've had trouble reading it because it gets very deep. It's very intellectual, but the movie kind of helps expose it in a way that you could really dive in. So sorry, Carl, I just wanted to throw that in there.
Yeah, no problem. Guys, again, this is just something that, I was like, you know what, Andrew, I want us to have access to the Think and Grow Rich film, because I want our people to have the right mindset when they go and they meet people and they sell their chatbot and their messenger marketing services. I don't know any other book that's really going to change, that's going to help someone effectively diagnose and go after and visualize the actual things that they need to do, like the success steps that they need to do. People are missing that from their life, regardless of where you're at. Your environment has probably a lot of poisons that you're not even aware of, and we are just a product of our surroundings, and we are creatures of habit. So I think, it's good to put in some good habits in there. You can take advantage of if you want. If not, no big deal. But if you do, you get access to our coupon. It's not very expensive. So it's not really like a huge thing for me there. It's where I win is where you guys win. So I'm doing this because I want you guys to win. All right. So Andrew, super excited. Thanks for being on my podcast. One last thing before we jump onto the call and do the training. Is there anything else you want to leave our podcast listeners with that maybe they can, could help them today?
Absolutely. I mean, there's so many things I could say, but it's literally don't settle. My biggest thing is don't settle. If you've gone to a place in your life where you feel like you're just going to kind of throw in the towel and do your normal job or do whatever it is that you're doing, and with family, it's going to be so-so, and with, the things that you really like doing, sports, health, whatever it is, don't settle. Try and go above and beyond, because the vibration that you're putting out in the world around you is what helps other people. And so you have so much to offer to the world, that just never settle. Always do better, always learn more, consistently educate yourself. Never stop with what you're doing. Take it seriously to help the people around you, because you have to look. People are looking up to you, whether you have kids, whether you have your partner, whether you have your family, your friends, no matter what you think. You need to be a perfect example for the rest of humanity to really help this world become a better place. So for me, the big thing I would like to say is just never settle. Keep on crushing, keep on moving up, and never slow down.
Awesome. Andrew, Ironman Graham, again, thanks for being on our podcast. We'll see you on the other show.